Let me tell you about the worst decision I almost made this year. I was lying in bed at 2 a.m., convinced I needed to quit everything I was working on. My mind was racing, spinning through every mistake I'd made, every future disaster I could imagine. I felt like I was thinking it through, but really I was just drowning in my own thoughts. And then something hit me. I wasn't thinking at all. I was just reacting. My brain was running on autopilot, following the same loops, the same patterns, going nowhere. And that night I realized something most people never learn. We're never taught how to think. We're only taught what to think. And here's the thing that's going to sound crazy at first. Your thoughts follow rules. Just like language has grammar, your mind has syntax. And when you don't know those rules, your thinking becomes like a sentence with terrible grammar. It's confusing, exhausting, and totally ineffective. Today I'm going to show you 4 rules that changed everything for me. These aren't just random tips. They're based on actual cognitive psychology and neuroscience. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why your brain keeps spinning in circles and exactly how you can stop it. Hey everyone, I'm Henry, and you're watching episode 80 on my channel, Henry's Millions, where I dive deep into psychology and the cognitive sciences, helping you explore and master the forces that shape your life. Welcome back. It's been a while. So, now before I give you these 4 rules, here's what you need to know. I was doing some research and reading work by clinical psychologist Russell Barkley, and he was talking about executive functioning. And he referenced the research from a gentleman named Jacob Bronowski, who stated that, get this, thought follows rules and syntax, just like language does. And that one insight just blew my mind. I thought, if thinking has rules and syntax, what are those rules? How do I actually use them? So I went looking for the answer. And here's what I found. Nothing. They never spelled it out. They identified the concept, but they didn't give us the practical rules. They didn't tell us how to actually apply this. So I did what they didn't. I took that insight, this idea that thinking has structure, and I organized it into something you can actually use. 4 specific rules you can apply starting today. I tested them, refined them, and used them for weeks, and believe me, they work. So what I'm giving you isn't just theory from a textbook. It's a working system that's changed how I think every single day. So let me show you exactly how this works. Right now, your thoughts are probably jumping around. Maybe you're thinking about this video, then what you need to do later, then something someone said yesterday, then back to this video. That's not really thinking. That's mental noise. Real thinking, the kind that actually solves problems and creates ideas, has structure. It has rules. Think about language for a second. The cat chased the mouse means something totally different from the mouse chased the cat. Same words, different order, different meaning. Your thoughts work exactly the same way. Barkley and others discovered something fascinating. They found that your brain's executive functioning, the part that plans, decides, and controls your behavior, depends on one critical ability. It's the pause, that delay. It's that tiny moment when you stop before reacting. Remember, we did a video on this. So that's when your brain can actually think. Because when you don't pause, you're just running on impulse. You're not following the rules, you're breaking them. And when your mental syntax breaks down, your thinking becomes like bad grammar. It's confusing, repetitive, sometimes even complete nonsense. So here's what broken thinking looks like. Feeling, reaction, regret. Ring a bell? But structured thinking looks like this: perception, evaluation, decision, action, feedback. You see the difference there? One is chaos, the other is power. So if our thoughts follow rules like grammar does, we can learn to think better by mastering those rules. And that's exactly what these 4 rules do. I have more, but we'll save them for future videos. Now let's start with rule number 1. It's the sequencing rule to help you stop the mental chaos. So this is the one that saved me that night at 2 a.m. Productive thinking flows through cause and effect. If A, then B. It sounds simple, right? But think about how often you break this rule. Your mind jumps from I'm stressed to everything is falling apart to maybe I should just quit to what's for dinner. There's no connection, no logic. It's just mental ping pong. The sequencing rule goes, your thoughts should follow an intentional chain, each one leading logically to the next. Let me show you what that looks like. Imagine you're nervous about a presentation tomorrow. Your unstructured thoughts sound like, what if it goes badly? I should have prepared more. What if I freeze up? What if they hate it? That's mental chaos. It's your brain just listing fears with no direction. Now watch what happens when you apply the sequencing rule. If I review my notes tonight for 30 minutes, then I'll feel more confident tomorrow, which means I'll speak more clearly, which will probably lead to better engagement, and I might actually enjoy this. Do you see the chain? Each thought leads logically to the next. You've restored cause and effect. This is how your brain is supposed to work. And Barkley calls it temporal sequencing, your mind's ability to link thoughts in order to predict outcomes before you act. So when you pause and sequence your thoughts, you're not just thinking anymore, you're planning. You're using foresight. So try this with anything: health, money, relationships, career decisions. The pattern's always the same. If this, then that, which leads to this. Sequencing transforms anxiety into a plan. It turns what if into if then. So it's not just thinking better, that's control. Okay, let's go to rule number 2. I call it the goal anchor rule. Know why you're thinking. So here's a problem. Even well-sequenced thinking can drift into nowhere. You can have perfect logic and still waste hours thinking about nothing that matters. That's where rule 2 comes in, the goal anchor rule. Every productive thought should be tied to a goal. If it's not, it's just noise. Here's how to use it. Whenever you catch your mind wandering, pause and ask, why am I thinking about this? What purpose does it serve? I'll give you an example. Last month, I spent a whole evening replaying an awkward conversation from before. Just looping it over and over, imagining what I should have said. Then I asked myself, what goal does this serve? And the honest answer, none. I was just torturing myself. So I redirected. Okay, I told myself, I'm thinking about this because I want to handle moments like that better in the future. What can I actually learn here? That was it. I went from ruminating to growth in one question. So this works because it brings your PFC, prefrontal cortex, the planning part of your brain, back online. When you anchor to a goal, your brain stops spinning and starts solving. Another example, you're lying awake thinking about money problems. Without anchoring, here's how it goes. I'm broke. That sucks. Why am I like this? I'll never figure this out. With anchoring, I'm thinking about this because I want financial stability. What's one action I can take tomorrow to move toward that? Do you see the shift? Same problem, but different syntax. It's a totally different outcome. The goal anchor rule prevents cognitive fatigue because when your mental energy aligns with purpose, you stop wasting it on what doesn't matter. So whenever you catch yourself drifting, use this one question reset. Does the thought serve a goal? If not, redirect or stop feeding it. This question alone will declutter your mind faster than any meditating app will. So let me tell you what happened when I actually started using these first 2 rules together. A few weeks ago, I was working on a project that felt completely overwhelming. I had sequenced my thoughts, I knew what needed to happen. I had anchored to my goal. I knew why it mattered, but I still felt stuck. And then I noticed something. The same 3 worries kept coming back. What if I'm not good enough? What if this fails? What if I'm wasting my time? Over and over, same loop, different day. That's when I realized I was breaking rule number 3. I call it the economy rule. Rule 3 is about efficiency. And honestly, this one's where most people lose half their mental energy. The economy rule is about eliminating redundancy. Stop the spinning in circles. Did you know your brain burns about 20% of your body's total energy? Unproductive thinking drains your resources fast. So this is rumination. It's where the same thought repeats endlessly without resolution. You replay a mistake, you imagine what someone thinks of you, old arguments over and over again. This rumination feels like you're solving something, but you're not. You're stuck on a mental treadmill. Lots of effort, zero progress. Here's how we apply the economy rule here. Catch a looping thought and you reframe it into an action statement. Instead of, why do I always mess things up? Say, next time I'll prepare differently. That's reframing. You're converted emotional repetition into constructive direction. Economy in thought isn't about thinking less. It's about thinking better. Every efficient system cuts waste. Your brain is no different. Rule 4, it's the syntax transformation rule. This is the most powerful rule. This one took me the longest to understand, but once I got it, it was a game changer. The syntax transformation rule says, switch the mode of your internal dialogue. Just like sentences can be statements, questions, commands, or exclamations, your thoughts can be too. And consciously switching between them can unlock your creativity and insight that you didn't know you had. Let me show you the 4 modes. Declarative. This is a problem. That's just a label. It names a situation but doesn't move it forward. Interrogative. Why is this happening? What am I missing? This opens the inquiry, right? The imperative. Try one small change right now. Creates action. It moves intention into behavior. There's also exclamative. Wait, this could actually work. So that reinforces motivation and optimism. So if you're always declarative, just labeling problems, you never move forward. If you're stuck in interrogative, always questioning and overanalyzing, you never act. If you're always in imperative, you act without reflection and you repeat mistakes. But when you consciously rotate between these modes, you build mental flexibility. Let me show you this in action with a real scenario. You're stuck on a work project. Your default thinking is probably declarative. This project is hard. I don't know what to do. I'm behind schedule. That's dead-end syntax, right? Now watch what happens when you transform it. Interrogative. What's making this hard? Which part specifically am I stuck on? The imperative now. Break it into smaller pieces. Start with just one section today. And the exclamative. If I finish this one part, I'll actually be ahead of where I thought I'd be. More emotional. Same situation, 4 different syntax modes. Completely different mental trajectory. So research on cognitive fluency shows that switching syntax modes activates different neural circuits, encouraging your creativity, your insight, and resilience, okay? So next time you're blocked, ask yourself, what's another way to phrase this thought? Change the syntax, and you'll change the outcome. That's the hidden power of this linguistic awareness, okay? Apply to your own mind. So let's bring this full circle. These 4 rules aren't separate tips. They work together as a system. Sequencing rule organizes thought logically. Remember, cause and effect. The goal anchor rule directs thought toward purpose. The economy rule removes waste and repetition. And the syntax transformation rule, it adds flexibility and creativity. Together, they turn your inner monologue from chaos into clarity, from reaction to design, from noise into meaning. Now, here's what I want you to do. Think about something you've struggled with right now, something unresolved that keeps circling in your mind. You got it in your mind? Good. Now, apply each rule, sequence it. What's the actual cause and effect here? What leads to what? And then anchor it. Remember, what goal is at stake? Why does this matter? And then economize it. Which thoughts are just looping? What can you cut out? And then finally, transform it. How could changing your mental syntax shift your perspective? I love that fourth one the best. So I'm serious, pause the video if you need to and actually do this. You'll be amazed how your mind begins to untangle when you give it structure. Because here's the truth, your brain isn't just an organ, it's a language machine. And when you learn to speak its language fluently, your entire life becomes more coherent. So let me leave you with this. Thinking isn't random sparks of consciousness. It's structured, rule-based, and trainable. Most people go their entire lives never realizing they can actually control how they think. They assume thoughts just happen to them like the weather. But once you understand the rules and syntax of your own mind, everything changes. You stop drowning in thoughts and start conducting them, like a symphony instead of static. These 4 rules, sequencing, goal anchor, economy, and syntax transformation, they're not just theory, they're tools I use every single day, and they work. If this resonated with you, do me a favor. Hit the like button so more people can discover this, because honestly, this is stuff they should teach, but no one ever does. And if you want to go deeper into how thinking actually works, the science, the techniques, the mental frameworks that actually change your life, subscribe and turn on your notifications, because I'm just getting started with this. So until next time, remember, your mind isn't just for thinking, it's for thinking well. And thinking well, it's a skill you can master. I'm going to give you a challenge. Pick one of these rules, just one. Syntax transformation is my favorite. And use it tonight before you go to bed. I'm going to put these in the description, okay? If you're anxious about tomorrow, use rule 1, sequence it out. If you're ruminating about the past, use rule 2, anchor it to a goal. If you're stuck in a mental loop, use rule 3, reframe it into action. And if you're blocked on a problem, use rule 4, change the syntax. Pick one, try it, come back to the comments and tell me what happened. I read every single comment and I want to know which rule worked for you. YouTube's recommending this video next as the best one for you. Please watch it and I'll see you on the next one. Every time.